Today we're going to talk about Workbook 3A, Exercise 5, and we'll look in the textbook at page 18 and 19 for some examples. On page 18 they have lovely flowers drawn. I just drew stars. I'm not very good at drawing lovely flowers, but there are 4 flowers, or in my case stars, on one line and 7 stars on the other line. And the question is, what is the sum of 4 and 7? Now, we're not doing anything new today, we're just using a new word. I want you to know when you look at the word sum, what we mean by that is add things together. So what is the sum of 4 and 7 is asking you to find 4 plus 7. What happens when you add 4 and 7? Well, I hope that you immediately thought 7 and 3 make a 10, and so what we have is a 10 and a 1. And notice, of course, that sum, when you add, of course 4 and 7 is 11, and 7 plus 4 is 11. When you find the sum and you add, it doesn't matter which one you put first, it'll always be the same thing. Then we have the question, what is the difference between 4 and 7? When you see the word difference, I want you to think of subtracting. Maybe you've heard somebody say, what's the difference in your age? Like your ages, like you and your sibling, and you might say, oh, we're 2 years apart, or we're 5 years apart. To find the difference is how far between things there are. So in the case of the stars, the difference in the stars is 3. One has 3 more than the other. We find that by starting with the biggest number, 7, and subtracting the smaller number, 4. If we say, we've done this before, right, with subtraction, all of these match up, and what's left over, we would say there are 3 more or 3 less, and now we're saying, same thing, the difference between 4 and 7 is 3. Now, the trick here is to realize that you do have to write the 7 first. It's the large number minus the small number gives you the difference. Many years from now, we'll actually talk about 4 minus 7. But right now, we don't start with small and subtract big. We start with big, large, and subtract small. So then on 19, page 19, it gives us some pictures. First, we have some squares, and there are 8 squares in one row and 5 squares in the other row, and it asks us to find the sum of 8 and 5. 8 plus 5, it says, is what? Well, if I put these two together, 8 and 5 is a 10 and 3 extra. So 8 plus 5 is 13, and again, they just want us to know that the sum of 8 and 5 is 13 because 8 plus 5 equals 13. If I find the difference between them, what I'm looking for the difference is how much more one number is than the other. That's a subtraction problem. 8 subtract 5 is 3. The difference between 8 and 5 is 3. We just want to make sure that we have good terminology when we work our math problems. Number 2 on that page all of a sudden uses really big numbers, but it's no different. 90 is how much is in that top bar, and 54 is the bottom bar. Again, I want to remind you what we've done in the past. That's the same thing as what we've done now. If you're finding the sum of 90 and 54, you're going to put them together. That means you have 9 tens, and you're going to add 5 tens and 4 ones. If you add 9 tens and 5 tens, you end up with 14 tens and 4 ones. Of course, you could call that 100. 4 tens and 4 ones. Don't forget when you're adding, when you're finding the sum, you can think in terms of tens and ones like we've done. So 14 tens, 4 ones, or 144 looks like that. And don't forget, it's like we've done long time ago where you make a number bond and say, if I put those together, 90 and 54, the sum, putting them together, makes 144. If I find the difference between them, let me change colors so we can see it a little bit better. The difference between them is this part. That is a difference. 90 subtract 54. That means 9 tens, subtract 5 tens, and also take away 4 ones. We did that in primary 2, where we have 9 tens, take away 5 tens, that gives us 40. We still need to subtract 4, which is going to give us 36, because the 4 tens, right, becomes 3 tens and a 10. 10 take away 4 is 6. 36 is the answer. The difference between 90 and 54 is 36. Remember, in a difference, the 90 is the whole and the 54 is a part. We're finding the missing part. That's 36. I know that this part is equal to 54. I'm trying to find the missing part of the 90. And then it just has some practice for us without pictures, but you could certainly draw a picture if it makes you more comfortable, or if it helps you to find the answer easier. The sum of 12 and 9 is, and in your mind you think, 12 and 9, that's going to make 2 tens and 1 extra. Now, notice what they do on this next one. The sum of two numbers is 21. If one number is 9, the other number is, and they're asking us a question that was answered in the question above. And so we already know the answer is 12. But think about it. If you didn't know the answer is 12, could you find it? Given the fact that the sum of two numbers is 21 and one of the numbers is 9, we've done that for a long time. That's a number bond. That uses the word sum, but to find the answer, we're going to find the difference. We're going to take 21 and subtract 9. We're going to think of this as 11 and 10 because 10 subtract 9 is 1, and I have 11 and 1, which makes 12. But notice they're restating the same question in each of these. Letter C, the difference between 21 and 9 is 12. B and C are the same question stated different ways. When it says difference, we'll subtract. If we know the sum of two numbers and we want to find, and we know one number, we're trying to find the other, that's given a whole and a part, we're going to subtract to find the part. The last one says the difference between 21 and 12 is what? 21 minus 12, that's the difference between them. But you can also think, of course, that you're given a whole and you're trying to find one part given the other part. And of course, it's going to be 9 because what we have seen from the very beginning of Singapore Math work is that the number bond, once you find the number bond, you can make several different sentences from that. Don't ever forget where we came from, right? 9 plus 12 is 21. 12 plus 9 is 21. 21 minus 9 is 12. 21 minus 12 is 9. The difference between 21 and 9 is 12. The difference between 21 and 12 is 9. The sum of 9 and 12 is 21. The sum of 12 and 9 is 21. The number bond looks like this. We're just adding a little bit of new terminology on top of old math skills. I think you'll do great on exercise 5.